Guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be showing you a lot of products that I have from NYX that I feel are dupes for other high-end products. So I have a lot of things here to show you guys today. I have tried all these things out to test them to make sure that they work the same. And in my opinion, I feel like they work exactly the same. So we're going to be doing this today. So I'm going to show you guys. We're going to start off with the primer. So the first primer I have is this right here. This is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer Oil. This one here I found to be a complete dupe with the NYX Hydra Touch Oil Primer. So these are exactly the same. You are getting are you getting a full ounce in this one? So you are getting one fluid ounce in this one, but you're only getting 6.67 ounces in this one. I will have the prices and everything comparable listed below in the description box for you guys. So that way there you can figure out which ones are better for you for budget wise and everything like that. So this oil, basically what it's going to do is give your skin some hydration that it needs that you can use before you put on makeup. So I'm going to put one little spoon of this, or not spoon, oh goodness. I'm going to put one little bit of this in my hand here. I'll show you guys how much I put. I just put a couple little drops there, and that's going to be for the left side of my face. I'm going to put everything high end on the left side of my face. That way there you guys can see the difference between the two. I'm just rubbing this in, and basically it's just an oil. If you're dry skin like me, this is very, very helpful for when you have days when your skin just needs the extra boost of hydration. So I'm going to rub that in nice and smooth. Now I'm going to wipe my hands off. And then I'm going to move on to, actually I need to grab my beauty blender. I didn't grab that yet. Okay, so I've got my beauty blender here now too. So I'm going to wipe my hands off and I'm going to use the NYX Hydra Touch. So this is basically the same thing. They do the same exact thing. They give your skin that hydration that it needs, and it is an oil-based product. And it picks up the same too. So you just put it into, you just push this and it picks up into the little dropper here. And I'm just going to drop some into my hand again, the same way I did with the Smashbox. So there it is again on my hand here. I will zoom you guys in closer as we start doing more detailed makeup and everything like that so you can see better. Right now I figured just for the face part it's not that bad. You don't have to be that close in, but I will get you in closer here soon. So I'm just going to do the same thing over here that I did over there. I'm going to hydrate my whole face with this. Oops, I almost did it. I almost rubbed it on this side. I'm so used to doing that. I need to make sure I keep my hand over here. Okay. So there we go. This is nice and hydrated now. So now I can wipe my hands off. Sorry guys, I feel like there's a frog in my throat. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this Cover FX, the Custom Enhancer Drops. So I want to use this to give my skin just a little bit more illumination, because you guys know with dry skin, your skin can tend to look a little bit almost parched and like not very brightened. So I'm going to put just a drop of this into my hand here. And you'll see, just a drop will do it. Whoops, it's a little more than a drop. So we gotta make sure we give just a little bit more than a drop for the other one. So here's what that looks like. So I'm gonna put this on the left side of my face. So this is basically, like I said, it's gonna give you almost a glow from within type of appearance onto your skin. So if you are someone who's like me and your skin just never looks, it looks dull, honestly. It just looks very dull and not brightened whatsoever. This is really going to help you out, not only with the oil-based product that you put on, but this in combination is really going to give your skin that glow from within. So the product that I found that is a dupe for it is the NYX, the Born to Glow Liquid Illumination. Now the containers are not the same for this one, but they do perform the same way in my opinion. So I'm going to put a little bit of this into my hand here. So I've got a little bit here. My hands are nice and glowy now. So now I'm just going to put this on the same way I did the Smashbox one, or not Smashbox, the Cover FX one. So I'm just going to rub that in. This one actually is a little bit more creamy, but it's going to give your skin the same exact appearance. I don't know if you can tell it or not so far, but my skin looks exactly the same already. So this one's just a little bit more lotion-like texture, whereas the Cover FX is more like a serum. So for me, honestly, I prefer the NYX one. I feel like the NYX one is a little bit more hydrating for someone who has dry skin like me. I think it just feels better. So that is the next step. Now the next thing I do not have a dupe for. I'm just going to put some foundation on. I need to do some color correcting first. So for color correcting, I'm going to be using the Tarte Color Your World Color Corrector palette. So here's what it looks like on the inside. You do get some color correcting colors in here. And I'm going to be using the color correcting palette from NYX. So they're not exactly the same, as you can tell, but honestly they perform the same. They do the same exact function, so you don't need to have a very high-end palette to do color correcting. The NYX one actually is a really, really good one. So I'm going to first go in with this little bit of green here and color correct any of my redness that I have going on my left-hand side. So you'll see it's just going to smudge this in to get rid of a lot of this discoloration that I have going on my cheek here. I'm going to put a little bit on this little, make sure I don't go into the wrong color. That would not be good. Alright, so I've got a little bit of acne spot right there too, so I'm just going to go in with my green again and dab that around. So as you can tell, I want to kind of work this in a little bit, so all I'm doing to work it in is just kind of pushing it into my skin, because you don't really want to see that bright green showing through. Now the next thing I'm going to do is color correct under my eyes, so I'm going to go in with this creamy shade right here in the middle. I don't know if you can tell it or not. I'm going to go in with that, and I'm just going to kind of brighten and color correct any kind of darkness that I have going on under my eyes. So I'm just going to go in with that. That's the only two color correctings that I honestly do in the first place. So for me, I don't really need a color correcting palette because I don't do that much color correcting. The only color correcting that I really need to do is for redness and for dark circles. And these two perform perfectly for me for that function. So I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit closer now that I've gotten so far into my makeup look. I'm going to pull you guys closer here. So hopefully I'm not cutting off too much of my head. Now I'm going to go in with the NYX one and do the same thing. I'm going to go in with the green and I'm going to color correct. As you notice, this one's got a lot more pigmentation. It's a lot more smooth. It's got a lot more color to it. So you're going to want to make sure that you pounce this in pretty good so that you don't see that greenness showing through your foundation. So I'm just going to pounce, pounce, pounce. And this is again going to help to eliminate any redness that you have going on. I have a nice big red spot right there, so I'm going to go up there and put that on that one and pounce it in again. This is probably not the best way to color correct, but honestly this is the way that I've always color corrected, so I don't know if there's an exact way that you should do makeup. Honestly, I think makeup is very personable. You can do it however you want to. You can put it on in layers, you can put it on very thinly. It just depends on how you like it. So there is the redness covered. Now I'm going to color correct my under eyes. I'm going to use this shade right here, which is very similar to the shade I just used in the Tarte one. So I'm going to go in with that, and I did clean my fingers off so that they do not have any more product on them. So color correct here, and that's going to help get rid of any kind of dark circles that I have going on. So that is much better. And I just tap it in. I just tap, tap, tap until I feel like it's smoothed out. So that is the next part. Now I'm going to go in, like I said, with my foundation, and the foundation I'm going to be using is the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous. I love this foundation. I feel like it's a really good one. You need to shake it up a little bit. I'm going to put some on the back of my hand here. It sounded really gross coming out. So I'm going to put some on the back of my hand. And then we're just going to spread this in with a L'Oreal sponge. That L'Oreal sponge is really, really good, so I'm enjoying using this one. Not with the hair included, but the sponge itself is really nice. So I'm just going to pounce this into my skin here. And you see how the green got covered really well. It's not showing through or anything, and there's not a whole lot of redness showing through, which is what I was going for. So that was the goal, to get rid of the redness and not show any green either. I don't want to look like Kermit the Frog underneath here or anything, but so this part, like I said, I'm just going to use one foundation all over, so it doesn't really matter. I can use one tool for the whole thing. That's no big deal. So there's how that's looking so far. I like this foundation. I feel like it's a pretty good one. If you have dry skin, I feel like it works really well with dry skin. I may need to go in with just a little bit more foundation, just because I feel like I don't have quite as much coverage as I really want on my skin today. I'm going to pull my hair up a little bit and do some pouncing up in here. I think I've gathered another hair somehow onto the sponge. I just saw it. So that's that. Oh, it's a hair right here. Do you see it? Okay, actually I don't think I need any more. My skin is actually, it's not full coverage, but it's definitely better than it was. And I don't want it super duper full coverage, so for me this is perfectly fine. Okay, So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start on my eyes. And the thing I'm going to do with my eyes first is go ahead and prime my eyelids. So I typically love using the MAC Painterly Paint Pot, but I find that the Nars, this is the Nars, what is this called? The Soft Matte Concealer. I find that that is very comparable to the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. It's got kind of sort of the same like texture to it. This is a little bit more creamier, but it's going to do the same thing. So you can really use any kind of concealer to put onto your eyelids to make a primer for your eyelids. So as long as you put it on and you make sure that you set it, you're going to be fine. So I'm going to put this one on first, and then we'll go in and set it. So I'm going to tap that all around, cover up any kind of discoloration that I have going on my eyelids. So that is good. Now I'm going to wipe my finger off onto my towel. And now I'm going to go into the NYX Dark Circle Corrector. Believe it or not, this actually works really well for a primer for your eyelids. So I'm going to tap into here, and I'm just going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to tap this all around. So this is going to do the same exact thing. This one's a little bit more tackier than what the Nars is. The Nars is a little bit more matte. But once you set them, you're not going to see a difference at all. I don't feel like these are exact dupes. These two aren't. But I feel like they can perform the same way. So that to me is what matters, is how do they perform. Okay, so now I'm going to be using the Tartelette Toasted palette. So here is my palette right here. Oh goodness, it's got some stuff on it. Let me shake it off for a second. One of my shadows is a little bit loose. This one down here got a little bit loose. So I'm going to be using this palette right here. I love this palette. I didn't love it at first. The more I use it, the more I do love it. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and set my eyelids. So I'm going to go in right here with the shade S'more, and I'm going to use that to set my lids. So I'm going to be using this brush right here, and I will be cleaning my brush off with my, I need to grab my thing quick. My color switch. Sorry guys, I thought I was prepared. I'm going to be cleaning my brush off in between uses with the color switch. So I'm going to just take the brush and make sure that it's nice and clean before I start, so that it's ready to go. And then of course, like I said, I'm going to go back into S'more and tap into there. And I'm going to set my eyelid with that. So set my eyelid with this. And this is basically just setting that concealer down so that it doesn't crease or anything on you. So that is set. Now I'm going to go back in with my color switch, and I'm going to clean that brush off so that way there we can still use the same brush and not have to change brushes, so that doesn't affect the color pigmentation or anything like that. Now I'm going to go into the NYX Ultimate Shadow Palette. So this is the palette I'm going to be using that I feel like you can dupe not every single color out of this palette, but you can dupe a majority so that you're going to be able to get basically the same looks. So I'm going to go into here, and I'm going to tap into the shade right here. These are not named, unfortunately, but that's okay. We don't need it to be named. I'm going to tap off, and I'm going to tap over here. Or I'm going to put it on over here, not tap over here. I'm going to put the shade on right here. So there's how that's looking. Can you see a difference yet, guys? No difference, is it? There's not a difference yet. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and open both palettes up so I can do this together. And of course, I'll just keep cleaning my brush off in between. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and start with my transition color. So for transition, I'm going to go into the shade right here, which is Warmth. So I'm going to go in with that shade, and I'm going to be using a brush right here. This is a Morphe brush, I'm pretty sure. This is the Morphe M433 brush. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to clean it off. Of course, the pigmentation doesn't come off the brush, like the color. It doesn't change the color, but there's nothing on the brush. If you take the brush onto your hand, I thought there was something on my hand. I'm like, seriously? No, there's nothing onto my brush, so it's clean. All right, so I'm going to go into Warmth, and I'm going to tap into that, and I'm going to start putting that into my crease. So that is a really pretty orangey brown shade. I'm just going to blend that out as much as I can. I may need to flip my mirror. I feel like I can't see very well. I'm going to make sure I go out and up. Get this all nice and well blended. Alright, so there's the first color that I've laid down. Now I'm going to clean my brush. And I'll show you guys that it's clean so that there's nothing on here. So it is clean. Nothing on the brush. So now I'm going to go over to the NYX palette and I'm going to go to the shade right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start putting that in the crease. So far, so good. What do you think, guys? Does it look very similar so far? I have a feeling that we can make sure this is going to work out. So, there's what we have so far. I feel like very similar so far, right? Alright, now I'm going to go in with my Sperm Whale brush. This is by Glamour Dolls. So I'm going to clean this off, make sure there's nothing on it. Clean. And then I'm going to go into the Tarte palettes. So over here, I'm going to go into the deep shade right here, which is Fireside. I'm going to go into Fireside over here. And I'm just going to place that in the outer V. And then I'm going to bring it up and into the crease a little bit. So I'm only doing like 3 or 4 colors here with this palette. So that's why I say you don't have to completely dupe it, but as long as you can get a good eye look that's very comparable out of a palette, I feel like you don't have to pay for the more expensive palettes. So I'm going to go in just a little bit more, just to deepen it up here. And I feel like you can definitely create very similar looks using both of these palettes. The only thing that's not in the NYX palette is the shade right here, but honestly, once you've swatched the shade onto your eye, you lose all the sparkle to it. All the sparkle pretty much disappears. So you really can match it, but it's just not going to have sparkle that's going to disappear on you and fall over your face. So, which is actually a good thing. So I'm happy to not have that sparkle, because that sparkle is actually the worst shade in this palette in my opinion. Okay, now I'm going to clean my brush off again. And then I'm going to go over here into this palette and I'm going to go into this deep shade right here. So now I'm going to put that in the outer V and then bring it up a little bit. We're going to blend it out. I think we might need a little bit more already for this one. This one's a little bit less pigmented than the Tarte one is, but nothing dramatic. So there that is on my eyelid. Now I'm going to put this down so I can just blend for a minute. Now I'm going to clean off my brush and I'm just going to blend. Blend, blend, blend. That's the most important step, right? Blending. You want to blend in circular motions and windshield wiper motion. That's pretty much what Jaclyn Hill has taught us, and she is so right. The better you blend your eye look, the better it's going to look. So I like to kind of bring it in as well as blend it out. Over there I can kind of bring it into the center of my eye a little bit. I'm going to clean off my brush and I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to blend a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more gradient look. Alright. I think we can actually go back in with a little bit more of that orange to give us a little bit more into the crease. So I'm going to go back in with the same brush here. I'm going to clean it off. And I'm going to give me a little bit more into the, it's not really the crease, it's like above the crease. So I'm going to go back into the Tarte one first. So I'm going to tap in here, tap off a little bit. And I'm going to just give myself a little bit more of the orange. I think we can go up a little bit higher. With me having very hooded lids, going up higher actually really helps me out. So there's that one. And I probably will blend again. So then I'm going to clean and then go back into the NYX one. So I'm going to tap into here like I did the other one, tap off. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to blend a little bit more up into the, make it a little bit higher. I feel like it just looks a little bit better with hooded eyes. Hooded eyes, really you need to bring it up pretty high. So there's that one. I almost went over. Almost made a mistake. So you got to clean in between. In between changing colors, you need to clean. Okay, so there's the eye look so far. Now the next thing I'm going to do is my lid color. So I'm going to put just a bright pop of color on my lid. And so for the lid color, I'm going to go into the Tarte palette and I'm going to be using this shade right here, which is Simmer. So I'm going to use Simmer and I'm going to put that on my finger. and just put that right there. Gives you that gold look. Looks very beautiful. Now I'm going to clean off my finger. Whoa, just dropped my color switch. I'm gonna have to grab that. Then I'm gonna go over to this palette right here, and I'm gonna dip into that shade right here on the end. And I'm gonna do the same thing. Do you see a difference? There's a slight bit of more orange in this one, but not much. There's not much of a difference. Hang on one second, I gotta grab my color switch. All right, we got it. So now I'm going to go ahead and go back into the Tarte palette. And for the Tarte palette, I'm going to dip into Candle right here. I'm gonna dip in with my pinky. Tap off a little bit, and I'm just going to put that right there. Right here, just to give it a little bit more brightness right there. And I'm also going to put it right here on the outer portion just to brighten my eye up. I will clean up under here in a second, so that's no worries. Now I'm going to go back into the NYX palette, and I'm going to tap into this one right here. So it's going to give you a similar look. So I'm going to tap in here, and I'm just going to put that right there like I did with the Tarte one. And then tap it right here. We might need just a little bit more of this one, just because, like I said, this one's not quite exactly the same pigmentation, but they're so close that honestly, I mean, look. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of wipe a little bit under my eye here so I don't have that fallout right there. Now I'm going to conceal, because I like to conceal before I finish up my eyelids. So I'm going to go in with the one that I'm going to be using that I feel like is a dupe for our NYX one is the Nars, the Custard Concealer. So this is the Creamy Radiant in Custard. So I'm going to put this under my eye to brighten and conceal. Then I'm going to use the NYX, this is the Studio Photogenic Concealer. So this is the one that I feel like is a pretty close dupe. And this is in the shade Beige. So this one has a little bit more pinky tone to it, but once you've blended it, you're not going to be able to tell. All right, so I'm going to switch my sponge back and forth. So I'm going to use this side for this eye. And I'm just going to blend that out. I like to bring it down pretty far. If you're going to do it this way, if you're going to do the V, then bring it down pretty far so that it just looks better. And then tap up underneath your eye. Now I'm going to flip sides. So this is the dirty side now. I'm going to flip sides and use the clean side for this eye. You make some really pretty faces when you're putting makeup on. I look back at some of my videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, that face was horrendous. Alright, so there are the two eyes. So they are concealed. Now I'm going to set them. I don't have a setting powder, so I'm just going to use my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. So I'm just going to tap a little bit of this into the lid here. And I'm going to use my Luxie brush and just tap a little bit of that to set my under eyes. So I like to start with setting like on the outer V here, on the outer portion, and then bring it in a little bit so that way there the powder kind of loosens up a little bit so you're not having, or lessens, not loosens. Because I don't like to make it too powdery. So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and set. Do the same thing on the other side. And there we go. Got nice and brightened under eyes. And that's how we do that. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and finish up my eye work. So I'm going to go in and do my brows. So of course you guys probably already know the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz is pretty much the same thing as the NYX Micro Brow. They are very, very similar. They are built the same. They have even the same little spoolie thing on the end here. The spoolies are very similar. Their tips are very similar. So these are almost exact dupes. I mean, I would say that if you have these and you put a sticker over both of them, you would not be able to tell the difference. Okay, so I'm going to go over here with the Anastasia. So I'm just going to draw my brows in a little bit. And this is in the shade Taupe. I'm just gonna, I like to kind of line them first and then fill them in. Like when you're coloring, I kind of trace the outside when I used to color, and then I would go and fill in the color of the whatever I'm coloring. Just makes it easier. It's like a guideline. Don't go outside of this line. So my brows aren't super thin, so I just basically am filling in any sparse areas. So that one is done. So I can put the lid back on the Anastasia one, so then I can go ahead and spoolie it through. Now I'm going to go in with the NYX one on the other side. So this is in the shade, I think this is Taupe as well. This is in the shade Taupe, yes. So these are both in the shade Taupe. The only thing is, the Anastasia, I will say, has a better shade line. They have more shades to choose from than what NYX does. But other than that, I mean, if you can find your shade in the NYX one and the Anastasia ones are not on sale, I would say get the NYX. Even if the Anastasia ones are on sale, I mean, you can still get a better deal with the NYX if you use like the in-store coupons at Ulta and things like that. So, or not the in-store, but the $3.50 off of whatever that coupon is. Okay. And NYX is often like buy one, get one half off or something like that. So now I'm going to spoolie through here. Like I said, I don't do too much with my brows. Basically, I'm just kind of filling in these sparse areas. So that one is done. So both brows are complete. And the only other thing I do with my brows is I just like to take my Beauty Blender, because I don't like thickness in the front part. So I like to take my Beauty Blender and just kind of dab right there in the front part of my brows to make it look a little bit more natural, not so drawn in. Now I'm going to go in with this is my Vintage Cosmetics brush. I'm going to go in with that, and I'm going to line the outer portion, kind of smoke it out a little bit. So I'm going to go in with the Tarte palette first. So I'm going to use this shade right here, which is Fireside. So I'm just going to tap that onto there. And I'm going to smoke this out a little bit. I don't want it super smoky, but I definitely want to smoke it out some. So I'm just going to lightly press this here. And then smoke it out a little bit. And that's it for that side. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over to the other side. This makeup look is very simple. It's taken me longer, of course, because I'm talking through it and everything. But if you were about to do this makeup look using only the NYX products, it's not going to take you that long. Or if you're using the same products that I'm using, it's not going to take you that long. Now I'm going to go in, I cleaned this off on my color switch. So I'm going to go in with that dark shade here in the NYX palette. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to smoke this out. So light hand. I like to kind of turn my head when I'm doing it. It's probably not how you're supposed to do it, but that's how I've always done it. I kind of just turn my head along with it. Alright, so there is my eye look. Now the only other thing is to do a brow bone highlight. So for brow bone highlight, I'm going to go back into the NYX palette. I'll start on this side first. I'm going to use this palette right here, and I'm going to use this Visante brush. And there's nothing on it. Let me double check. It's clean. So I'm going to tap into right here. And I'm just going to highlight my brow bone with a matte highlight. I don't want it super highlighted, so I might go in with a little bit more. This brush is a very soft, flayed out brush, so it's going to give you a very light touch of makeup. Okay, so that side is done. Now I'm going to go back in with the color switch and clean that off and use the Tarte palette. And now I'm going to go down to the same shade, actually here. I'm going to use this shade right here, mix with this shade right here. I'm going to mix these two. Okay. So there we go with that. Now I'm probably going to do lashes off camera just because I don't have lashes that are comparable, and there's no point in really setting y'all through that because you guys know I'm terrible at lashes. But I do have a eyeliner that is very similar. So the Kat Von D, everybody keeps talking about the Kat Von D, but the Kat Von D is not quite as black as I thought it used to be. So for me, I would say the dupe would be the Stila. This is the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner. I feel like this is the dupe for the NYX Epic Ink Liner. These two I feel like are more comparable than the Kat Von D. I feel like the Kat Von D is not quite as black as the Stila one, and I feel like the NYX Epic Ink Liner is definitely very... Sorry guys, I guess I've been talking so long that the camera decided to cut off. So anyway, like I was saying, I think the Stila, the Stila Stay All Day liner is the same as the NYX Epic Ink Liner. I feel like they are very comparable. So I'm going to grab my mirror and pull it in closer so that I can see what I'm doing so I don't poke my eyeball out. I'm going to start off with the NYX side. Mine, I ended up putting the lid on it and kind of frayed out the edge here, so I need to be careful. That doesn't come like that, so that was my mistake that I messed it up. So I'm just going to give myself a very, very light line onto my eyelid. Not a cat eye or anything like that, because guess what? Or, yeah, not a cat eye, because I can't do those. I'm not very good at it. So, just putting this on, hopefully you can see. Here's when it starts to go to awry, doesn't it? When you start to get thicker and thicker. When you try to cover up your bumpy eyelids like mine from being a little bit older. So, okay, so there's the first. Oh, I just stuck it on my finger. See, that's how I break them. Alright, let's wipe that off before I end up getting it all over my sweater. Alright, that one is done. Now I'm going to go in on the other side and do the Stila one. So the Stila one is very, very similar. They both have like the brush tip marker type area, marker tip area. They both have a brush tip marker. So I'm going to do this side. For some reason, I'm better at this side than I am the other. You guys better at one side than the other sometimes when you're putting on makeup? I don't know why it is, but I just am. Alright, so that one's done. They may not match, but guess what? They can be close related, distant cousins. They're not going to match perfectly, and that's okay by me. Now I'm going to, of course, like I said, I'll do my lashes off camera. So now we're going to do blush and highlight. So I didn't pull a blush or highlight. So what I'm going to do for blush is I'm going to go into my Tartelette palette. So I'm going to show you guys how I like to use blush in palettes like this. So I'm going to go into my Tartelette palette and I'm going to go under the shade right here, which is Cozy. I'm going to tap into that very, very lightly. And then I'm going to tap off. And then I'm going to blend that out. That is going to be my blush. It's like a orangey tone blush. And I'm going to bring it up like I normally would. Alright, so now I'm going to clean off my brush over here. And then I'm going to go into the NYX palette. And for the next one, oh my goodness, I can't get it open. I'm going to go into the same deep, dark, shadish looking shade. The one that looks very similar. So I'm going to try to get only that right there. So it's on my brush right here. And I'm going to blend that in. So this is a way, whoops, I almost did it. This is a way that you can get your makeup to do more than one thing. Like your eyeshadow palettes can be your blushes. They can also be your highlights, which is what we're going to do next. So I'm going to go back into the NYX one. If I can get it open. I'm going to go back into the NYX one and I'm going to go under the shade right here. I'm just going to tap this onto my little highlighting brush. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Tap that off. And I'm just going to use that for my highlight. So there's what the highlight looks like. It's not super dramatic, but it definitely does give you a highlight. Now I'm going to clean this off in here. And then we're going to go into the Tarte one. And the Tarte one, we're going to have to use one that's a little bit darker because I don't have one exactly that matches, but we're going to make it work. So we're just going to go into that shade right here, which is Candle. So if you just put it on very lightly, it'll work fine. And I'm just going to use this one for down the center of my nose a little bit and above my lip. So there is the completed makeup look so far. I will come back on here in just a second and talk to you guys and then let you guys know my thoughts, my opinions on everything. So hang on one second, I'm gonna go put some lashes on. Okay guys, so I completed my makeup look. I put my mascara on my eyes so that way there I could finish it off. I just didn't think that you guys wanted to wait through that part. There is one last thing that I want to show you guys that's to me it's a dupe. It's a very, very similar dupe. So I'm going to show you, the first thing I'm going to show you is the Lipstick Queen Frog Prince. So here's the Lipstick Queen Frog Prince. Is the one that turns, it looks green when you first get it. The lipstick is green. You put it on your lips and it kind of turns like a pinkish tone. So it's going to give you that more like a flush to your lips, where your lips just look like they have that more like almost like a pinch look, like where you've scrubbed them a little bit. The other one is this new one by Essence. This is the Kiss the Frog lipstick. So I knew as soon as I saw this online, I'm like, wait a minute, are they going to be the same? So this one is green as well. The green colors are not the same, but I can tell you that the color that they end up being on your lips are going to be very similar. So I'll show you the two greens side by side. So here's what the two greens look like side by side. So of course they're not the same. One is more of like a flat top and one is more like slanted. So of course, the Frog Prince one is going to be a little bit more well made. This one's a little bit more like a chapstick, honestly, like the tube packaging is. But the longevity to both of these I feel like is very similar. I put these on and they both kind of sting your lips and they seem to last on my lips for a long time. So again, we're going to go on to this side over here, which is the more budget friendly side, and we're going to put the Frog Prince. So do you see that it gives your lips, I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit here. So you see it gives your lips that like a flushed color. So now I'm going to, this one changes really quick too. That one did for some reason. It changes a lot faster than what the Frog Prince does. Now I'm going to do the Frog Prince. Frog Prince takes a little bit longer to adapt to your lips for some reason. Okay, so can you tell a difference now? They're very, very similar in my opinion. I feel like these are like a dupe, honestly. They might look a little bit different, but I mean, they're going to perform the same way. Once you put them on your lips, they're going to do the same process. So they're going to change a little bit on your skin tone. So they're not going to come out green on your lips. They're going to change to that pretty pink. So I know it doesn't go perfectly with my eye look, but I really like these. I love the Frog Prince. You guys know this is one of my favorite lipsticks. I picked up another one during the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale. So when I saw that they had this and I felt like it was a dupe, this is a lot more affordable. This one's like $2.99 I think it is, and this one's like $25. So big difference in pricing here. So like I said, I will have all the prices listed below for you guys. But let's go ahead and talk about everything real quick. So again, here is my completed makeup look, how it turned out. This side, remember, is everything that's a little bit more expensive. This side's a little bit more budget friendly. So for me, I feel like everything turned out very similar. I don't see much of a difference whatsoever. Even by using my eyeshadows as blushes, I don't see much of a difference. I feel like if you're looking to get the Tartelette Toasted palette and you want something that's not quite as expensive as the Tartelette Toasted, because this is like $40 some, this is a more budget friendly price. So this is the NYX, this is called the Ultimate Shadow Palette, and this is one in warm neutrals. So this can still be purchased on Ulta, and you can use the Ulta 350 off coupon. You're not going to get the same exact colors like I was telling you guys. Like, these are not the same exact colors in here. So you are going to see some slight differences, but I feel like the differences are not that big of a differences, especially if you were worried about this shade right down here, the one that has all the sparkle in it. If you wanted that one, believe me, it doesn't come off on your eyes sparkle anyway, so you're not going to miss it. You're going to be happy that you have this one instead. You're not going to have quite a big of a mess as the other one. As far as the primers go, I feel like these are very, very, very much the same. The bottles are both glass. The tops both have the little spot where you push to dispense the product. The only thing is the Smashbox bottle feels a little bit more heftier, a little bit better made than what the NYX ones does, but it's going to perform the same way. The concealers, I feel like they did the same exact thing. I feel like the Nars and then the NYX one, I feel like look the same. I mean, I don't see a difference whatsoever. They didn't crease more on me when I tried to wear them at the same time. Neither one of them creased more than the other one did, so that was a great thing. The Cover FX versus the NYX, I feel like, again, they're going to perform the same way. The Cover FX, I feel like, is more like a serum, whereas the NYX, I feel like, is more like a cream product. So if you have dry skin, I think you're going to prefer the NYX anyway. So I think that's a win too. And then, of course, as far as it goes for eyelid primer, I did use the Nars on this side right here, and then I used the NYX on this side right here. So I feel like, again, neither one of these were actually meant to be eye primers, but you can use a concealer as eye primer. It's going to work very, very similar. I don't think you have to use an actual eyelid primer. It's something just to cover your, if you have any kind of discoloration going on, that's basically what I'm looking for to cover on my eyes. So I think they work very similar. As far as eyeliners go, I feel like the NYX Epic Ink Liner, I feel like it is very, very good. I feel like it's very comparable to the Smashbox, no, Stila. I keep thinking Smashbox. The Stila, I'll Stay All Day. I feel like these are very super, super close. If you were to compare it to the Kat Von D, I feel like the Kat Von D isn't quite as black. I feel like it's a little bit more gray toned. It leans a little bit more gray than it does black. These are definitely solid black. So if you were going to compare any two, I would say the NYX and the Stila. And of course, the brows. Whoa, I just threw the cap at myself. The brows, the NYX and the Anastasia Brow Beverly Hills. Everybody knows that this is a dupe, so this is no big surprise. Everybody knows that they're packaged the same, they work the same, and there's a big price difference. So I would suggest, if you're looking into getting any of these products here that I was just talked about today from the high-end brand, then maybe you consider looking at the more budget-friendly side and trying to save yourself some money. So anytime you can save money on makeup, I mean, what's the point? Nobody's going to know what makeup product you have on your skin once you're out in the public. Nobody's going to say, oh my gosh, that's a Smashbox primer you're wearing. They're not going to know. Nobody's going to know. You're going to know. So, and as long as you can create the same looks using the same similar products, then I think it's fine. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these type of videos, because I can definitely do them. I hope it wasn't too long-winded. I know I tend to talk a little bit longer when I'm doing like talk through, get ready with me, but I wanted to kind of show you guys step by step how this worked out. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.